Even you gotta admit, it's funny as hell when you get mad.
I was like, look, if you'll leave me alone, I'll go have dinner with you.
Somebody get my wife and kids on the phone.
And then he would get on the apron and take a stick or a pencil and jab it into his leg.
That's the whole thing of being a babyface, is overcoming all obstacles. I remember getting my check for WrestleMania, and there was that big minus on there, and I was like, son of a. But this weekend gave me closure.
Hats off to Triple H, by the way. Yeah. I think Triple H is doing
He's doing a great job.
an amazing job.
Yeah.
He's changing the game.
And he's doing it calmly.
Oh my gosh.
It is. So I'm not around, obviously, like I used to be.
Yeah.
Like when I was working full time, or even when I wasn't working full time, it was just so chaotic. Because, okay, you have now the Rumble itself is put together, and it's a complicated deal.
I can imagine.
It really is complicated. But was always like this tendency last minute for things to get changed. Now you've got something in your mind for a couple of hours now. Like, okay, this is what, this is what we're trying to achieve. This is how we're going to get there. And then somebody decides, no, they want to change it. And now all this thought you've put into how you're going to do this now has been changed. And I don't know, it's 10 minutes till go time, right? And
now you got to get 30 guys on board.
Oh, yeah, because it changes from wherever that happens. Yeah, everything. A lot of times it changes everything.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes, it's just chaotic because guys it is such a high pressure. People, I don't think in other genres of entertainment, obviously, I think athletics, in just the athletic sides, they probably, like having a, mount a 2-minute drill to try to get field goal range, make a playoff game, things like that. But in the entertainment world, I would be interested to see how many people that act or musicians or anything like that could handle the stress of working like that. Like having, because you have to have
on set. We're gonna change everything. Just
boom.
Right
you're going
before
to shoot this. You're going to shoot this scene. Somebody stops you. Okay, I know you were about to kill the person, but now we're going to switch it. This person is going to come in and kill you.
Yeah.
And this person is going to win. It was
which changes the script. That's this.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. And you have to, in your mindset, your mind's eye, you have to visualize all of it, right? You have to visualize how it's all going to happen, and then it just turns up into just like total chaos. And it's somehow or another, 9 times out of 10, it always seems to work. But back to Triple H, there is this calm backstage, and the crew itself, like the talent, they're relatively young. Like top to bottom, they're young people.
It really is a young roster right now.
Yeah, and they're all so chill and just.
Is Triple H a calm person just naturally?
I've seen him. I've seen him get worked up, but I haven't seen him get. I haven't seen him yell at talent. I haven't seen him, badmouth anybody. Like, there's been times where you come back through the curtain and you know that the ass chewing is coming.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that with him. Like I said, I haven't been around a whole lot.
Yeah.
But I've been around enough, and I know him well enough, and I can just tell. It's such a chill vibe. For me, I almost don't like it. Because it's almost too calm.
Yeah.
And to me, this is just me on the outside looking in, is like they don't care enough.
Yeah.
And it's not that. It's just the atmosphere.
He's more of a warrior in the garden.
Yeah.
And just.
And instead of it being, yes, everything happens in the battlefield.
Yeah.
And so it really, And I think because that roster is so young, that kind of person that can nurture like he can, I think is perfect for, this time period in the industry.
And I think a little bit of that has to go with the fact that I think just this new generation of just human beings question things a little bit more. And I think that they, there's so much, I think, money involved in the sport as well. So where it's like, if you just start screaming at somebody today,
Yeah.
a lot of these guys, they've made some change now.
Yeah.
And they've
You're just setting me up to just really.
they might be completely okay with just walking away. And now with social media and them being able to go do other things, but like, I think you've got it. I think Triple H understands this is how I have to treat the talent. It's not treating them, making them softer per se.
I didn't say that. I did not say that anybody was.
Did
I say that?
Did say that. You didn't say that at all. I'm just saying he's not necessarily making them softer. He just knows how to talk with them a little bit better and has a different relationship with them.
I agree with you. I was just playing.
And I think that he is breaking some boundaries that we've never seen before with WWE. I mean, I think in the Women's Royal Rumble was a TNA champion that came out. Like,
Used to. We didn't acknowledge.
You ain't going to see that at all.
No one acknowledged. Occasionally, we would bring someone in from Japan, but nobody.
Japan was just kind of that neutral state, right? Where like you could bring in folks from Japan.
No, I think it's great. I think doing that, it just makes it. It almost makes it more legitimate because you let a champion come from a different company and test it. Man, I can sit back because it's a different product. I can sit back and pick it apart, but at the end of the day, dude, they are
They're killing
it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're making so much money.
What about the Netflix deal?
Oh my gosh.
$5 billion. Billies.
It's awesome. I mean, it's stream raw. It's crazy. It is crazy. And there is deal after deal after deal like that lined up like that. And it's cool to, I can sit there and watch it. I was like, man, I wouldn't do it like that. I wouldn't do it like that. But I can't say anything because look, they're making more money. They're doing more business than anything that we ever did.
You just had 40-something thousand people to show up to Tropicana. Tropicana hasn't had 40-something thousand people in it.
No, you could
like the entire Rays baseball season.
You could put 5 games in there. So back in the day,
it is unreal what they're doing, and I am excited for what Triple H is doing. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited what Sean's doing over at NXT because I'm seeing these NXT folks come in and wrestle at the Rumble, and Brock is. It's time for him to go from NXT to Braun. It's time for him to come over. Yeah. I mean, it's overdue in my opinion. Yeah. He got his butt kicking by you, and now it's time for him to come to the big show. Yeah. I mean, he's ready. I think.
Got it. He's got it. He's got I mean, not only the physical attributes, but he has it. I mean, he's a personality, and the it factor is important. And it's cool that they could take that much time with him.
Yeah.
That shows how strong the roster really is.
That you don't have to just pull a guy up just because you got to try to.
Yeah, you got to try to rush him, and so they let him develop, and now he is ready, and he'll move into a really good spot, I'm sure. Man, the system, man, is so good right now.
Yeah,
and it's funny looking back in the day. Obviously, Sean and I, early on, we didn't mix very well. It was a little bit of oil and water. We always worked great together.
Yeah.
Oh, but as personalities, we kind of collided, and then he found obviously he found the Lord and changed his priorities. But man, what a freaking super job that he's doing down there. And it's not, you know, Sean, when he was in his run and something went wrong, I mean, Sean would flip a gasket, right? I mean, we all did. And it's something, I mean, it's just the
You had pride in what you had pride in
if
your
you're
job.
a top guy and a top guy baby face or even a heel, things don't go right. He's so chill down there, and Matt Bloom, all those guys that are down there are so they're so nurturing. It really, it's crazy. Yeah, it's so well done.
It's not a Stu Hart in the dungeon type of situation.
Give me your hands. Yeah, let me take that finger right there. I'm gonna see. Can you shoot a little bit there?
You know, it is so good. It is from top to bottom. That company right now is so strong.
You know, Australia's known for having a good time.
Oh yeah.
Was there some good times?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I remember one specific time we were over there, and I'm trying to think. Like, we had wrestlers court at the hotel.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there was more than one I want to say it was Melina, and maybe somebody else got brought up on some kind of charges.
Okay.
So we had a banquet room reserved at the hotel
Just for wrestlers court.
just for wrestlers court. And I'm talking about, it was sold out. I mean, we had, I think JBL was the prosecution. I don't remember who defended Melina. Witnesses were brought up, sworn in. It was one of the more higher end wrestler courts that I ever presided over.
Did JBL get bought out? I mean, he was known for.
No. He that fate was, it was sealed long before court ever started. And I remember Larry Heck. He was the head athletic trainer for a long time. Now he's got a new uppity position. He's got his own business card now.
Oh man.
He's basically, his job for many years was to keep me healthy enough to go to the ring and to put me over playing gin. That's all he did.
That's all he needed.
That's all he needed to do.
There you go.
And he won't play me anymore. He's
Scared.
yeah. But anyway, I remember him coming in with a big round, like, server's platter, coming in right in the middle. I mean, it was a pretty intense part of court. Like, tears were being shed and all this. And he comes in with this ginormous tray, and it's got drinks, full drinks all over it. And he tripped. This serving platter just goes, and there's drinks flying everywhere. And, oh my God, I almost brought him up on charges for spilling so much alcohol, so much Jack Daniels. But he brought a little moment of levity. It was needed too, because it had taken a really pretty serious turn as far as the defendants were concerned. And
Did y'all set this up like you were actually in a courtroom? Were you sitting up there like you're a judge? You got the witness stand.
Oh yeah, everything. Oh yeah. I mean, it was, yeah. Oh yeah.
That
It
is
is one place. As one place back then, as a wrestler, you did not want to be brought up on charges.
Now, as the judge, did anyone ever try to take you to wrestlers court?
No.
You didn't do anything to deserve to be.
Not to the boys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's so Australia had one of the most epic wrestlers courts.
Oh man, it was great. It was so funny too. Like, you know, back then, now we still had a lot of women that would show up to the hotels
Yeah.
looking for a good time, right?
Yeah.
And they're all at the bar and hanging out, and we're all in this room. And that's how important wrestlers court was. Like, the guys had forgotten completely about, you know, fornication and everything else. This wrestlers court was important. And I mean, it went on for a while. And Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's how long ago it was that you still actually had women hang out at the hotels.
Yeah, the
Not guys wanting to.
the crowd has changed.
It has changed considerably. It has changed. It has changed a lot, man.
Well, maybe
Which is good for me because I'm.
yeah, those days are long gone.
That's my rearview mirror, but
maybe Australia still, maybe the women still enjoy wrestling over there. As
I hope so.
yeah,
Because it gets really monotonous at all the, I appreciate everybody. You got to,
but man, yeah, that's
it's a blow to your ego. Like, one part of your career, there's one thing, and then the next part of your career is neckbeards. Mick and Mankind, I always, my image and my understanding of it is like, I will do this to myself just so that I can do this to you.
yeah,
Right? That was Mick's mentality, right? That was the story that he was telling. I'm going to endure this much pain, which is going to be, it's going to be monumental pain just to inflict a little bit of pain on you.
I'm willing to go through hell just to get you to have a little bit of a sunburn.
Exactly. And so when you start thinking about that kind of mindset, like how deranged the individual does he have to be to do those kind of things? You'd said I would wear him out, and then he would get on the apron and take a stick or a pencil and jab it into his leg, and he'd pull his hair out. I mean, that's just next level commitment. But it all made sense into his tormented mindset that he had, and that's why it made it so believable. And then you have this indestructible force called the Undertaker. Like, this guy will kill himself. This guy will torture himself to torture this person.
And I think that's what makes Mick so interesting is the fact of, we've talked about, thinking outside the box and, just stretching those boundaries and doing different things. And you've mentioned Bray Wyatt before. And I just look at like Mick, and Mick was that guy. I think a lot of people look at Mick and think of the extreme stuff of the, thumbtacks and just staples and crazy crap like that. But I think what he was able to do in the ring of storytelling, and it maybe physically and athletically he wasn't on the same level as a lot of folks,
right?
But what he made up for through storytelling, I think, is what makes him so special.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, it just, his commitment to taking the tools that he had, and he didn't just take thumbtacks just to take thumbtacks.
No.
It's just that's the difference between what you see a lot of now is people do things just for the shock of doing it.
He lands on the thumbtacks and then rolls it.
Man,
but those are the things about him that, once again, if you're a young wrestler, man, you want to attach yourself to a guy like a Jake the Snake or a Mick Foley. Like,
you don't necessarily want to do those things, but you want to understand why he did those things.
Yeah.
Right? That's the element. It's like, why would you do that? Why did you do that when you did that there? And it all revolved around storytelling.
Was there people in the locker room that didn't want to maybe work with Mick because of some of the extreme stuff he would do in the ring? Were they a little nervous to potentially work with him?
I don't remember anybody, because Mick most of the time hurt himself.
It wasn't necessarily you.
You weren't going
to necessarily get thumbtacks.
No,
but.
No. I mean, I got thumbtacks. After our initial. Let me think here. Like, one of the roughest things that I remember taking from Mick was the night that Mick debuted. It was right after what was it? WrestleMania. It was WrestleMania in LA. I don't actually remember what number. I had worked with Diesel.
Okay.
Diesel was about to go on to WCW. I'm worked the next night on Raw. I worked with. I believe I worked with. I think I did a TV match with JBL. I worked with Vader, and then I think Mick debuted. And I remember the biggest thing that he did that probably hurt more than anything else that Mick ever did to me is he ended up, slamming me or running me into the steps and dropping the elbow off of the apron onto the concrete.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was pretty snug, but when you look back to this whole thing of this of the angle, he took a lot more, he took a lot more than he dished out. And, yeah, man, he's special, man. He
really is.
Yeah.
And, there's this weird Mount Rushmore over here that he lives on of
what you're willing to do to yourself for the sake of your fans. And it's so like, I think people are nowadays, I think they're used to it now, but when I finally started talking, like, oh, well, he doesn't, he actually is a human being. To know the human being that Mick is, like the kind-hearted soul, like it's hard to look back into mankind and see, okay, this guy is actually this guy who is Santa Claus every year.
Could you imagine being like his grandkids or something, and you look back and you watch these old matches and
Like,
stuff?
okay,
and
honey,
like,
you're gonna stay with Grandpa. Grandpa, wasn't Grandpa a wrestler? Oh yeah. Well, let's watch this. I don't want to stay with Grandpa.
Before we dive into your career, let's knock out some of the personal stuff here of how this miracle happened that Mark ended up with you.
Okay.
You throw this football. You're apparently, according to him, just on his heels.
Yeah.
And all that stuff.
Did you use the word miracle?
For you to wind up with her?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a miracle. This is divine intervention.
We've already discussed this.
Yes.
You can be replaced.
I know that I can be replaced.
I'm just saying.
But also, I believe thou shalt not lie. And so I'm just being honest.
Why are you gonna let the truth get in the way of a good story? Go ahead.
So-
Go ahead. Tell your story.
How did this all happen? Where did this end up? What happened here?
I'm not sure, actually.
Blink twice if you're in trouble.
No, despite what he tells everybody, he absolutely courted me. It was weird. It was weird. Like, I'd be working out in the ring, and he never helped the girls, like, ever.
Okay.
True story or not?
Okay. I
Well,
thought you were
she's gonna
seriously. I thought you were about to say I never helped anyone.
No, you always helped everyone. And I was the type.
Okay.
That's fair.
No, you're right.
Is that not fair?
That's fair.
That's fair, right?
That's fair.
Okay. And I was always the type, as a McCool, I was taught, you work hard, you're first to the building, you're last out of the building, and doesn't matter what you're doing, 100%.
Yeah.
And
And I paid attention to all that.
note number one, see that? He was paying attention, okay? So,
Paid attention.
Okay.
No, I don't want to cut you off, but I paid attention because those things matter to me when I'm helping talent.
right,
Like-
but you didn't help girls. So, anyway, before, it used to be where you'd get there early and, you got Arn Anderson and Fit Finley and Ricky Steamboat and obviously Mark and whoever helping the guys in the ring. I just want to soak that up. Like, it was on-the-job training. I want to get all the knowledge I could from
Soak it up.
Guys like Double A and the Dragon.
Flair, the Dragon. I mean, you're silly if you're not seeing
Amazing
it ringside.
wrestlers like
yeah,
that,
yeah. Like, I
absolutely.
thought people were crazy if they weren't out there under this tree. And so all of a sudden, I'd get in there working, and days, I don't know, day after day, like he would just start moseying on in and helping a little bit more and getting a little more invested. And, hey, Michelle, hop in and try this. And I'm like, oh, this is weird. Because, he's at the level where I got to respect him. I can't, like everybody respects The Undertaker. Like I can't say no or I can't, Yeah. So, he started helping me. Obviously a lot of knowledge to give. Sometimes a little long-winded knowledge, but it was knowledge.
Yes.
And so...
Look a gift horse right in the mouth. Just, you know what? Just because I'm passionate. Just because I'm passionate about my industry.
No.
Now I'm long-winded.
It's in everything. It's in everything.
It's everything.
I love the passion for the industry, but it's...
Go ahead.
Okay,
ahead.
anyway. So, people actually started noticing. This is true, like Charmel and
Her friend.
Tori,
Her friend.
a few of the guys.
No.
I won't give names because I won't throw them under the bus. But they were like, I think Taker's got like
Little crush.
something. Yeah, I'm like, oh, y'all are crazy. Like, first off, I'm not into long hair tattoo guys. Like, not my jam. Like, at all. Just, yeah, it's beautiful long hair.
Thank you.
You needed somebody to take home to daddy. That
Yeah, how do you explain this? Right? And how it did explain, I was like, okay, before I tell y'all, he's not what y'all would, he's not, don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Wait, what's wrong with the cover?
Nothing, it was just not my, typical, but look,
It ain't Charlotte's Web.
I adapt it, and it's beautiful, and it's perfect, and we just, lovely. So anyway, people start noticing, I was like, nah. Then he, following me around a little bit more.
Wait.
Finding me in the bleachers, just having random conversations, wanting to get to know me a little better. I'm like, okay, again, it's The Undertaker. I can't say, I don't really feel like talking to you. Like, that's something to do. But, so a little more and more.
Wait. Whoa, hit the brakes. I don't feel like talking to you.
You couldn't I'm not
say
saying
that
I
because
felt that way. I'm just saying if I did feel that way, I couldn't have said that anyway. Because it's The
clarity
Undertaker.
would be nice. This is not the time to be feel like you were under any kind of pressure to do something that you didn't want to do. This is not the time to be
Let's clarify
insinuating any of that. Thank you very much.
I'm not insinuaing that. I'm not. No.
Be
Okay,
perfectly clear. I did not hold her against her will. Make her do
no.
anything that she did not want to do.
No. I don't think anybody can make me ever do anything I didn't want to do. Would you agree with that?
Go ahead. I definitely agree with that.
Okay. So anyway, it got to the point where he just kept asking, let's go get some dinner or let's do this, whatever. I was like, look, if you'll leave me alone, I'll go have dinner with you.
Okay.
So we had dinner.
Where'd you have dinner?
You left such
Where did we have dinner?
I'll tell you in a second, but you left such a vital part of the story out.
Oh, gosh.
I saved the girl's life.
Wait, this is about, that's true.
I saved
But
the
see,
girl-
I don't
okay,
remember,
she said it's true.
that's true, but see, you got to give me, I don't remember that whole episode. We were
No,
over.
but this shines a positive light on me.
So of
That's
course
why
you
you don't remember.
No, probably because I don't even remember the last 3 days of that tour or the 16 days I was in the hospital. I don't remember. I don't even remember where we were. Where were we?
We were in Europe.
I know, but Ireland?
Ireland is where we finished.
Yeah, so we were in Ireland on a overseas tours, which are grueling in the first place. We do 3 state shows, head straight overseas, and 14 shows, 14 cities, and then come back to the States for 3 more. I don't know. I think we were on the tail end, 3 or 4 days left of the tour.
Yeah.
And I hadn't been feeling good. Everything just hurt. And not like wrestling hurt. My body was shutting down. It hurt. Didn't know how to explain it. Doctors didn't know what was going on. And back then I wasn't going to tell anybody I was sick because you might lose your spot on the roster. It's like, no, I'm still going to wrestle. I'm not going to let anybody know what's really going on. But I was in such pain. I could barely stand up straight to walk. I remember calling the doc in the middle of the night. And it's like something's wrong. And so we get to the show in Ireland, and I don't even know how I ended up on the doctor's. I don't remember.
She was the closest thing to a walking zombie that you could be.
I think Charmel, honestly, was like, Mimi, you've got to go see a doctor because I wanted to wrestle that night. And so she makes me go see the doctor. We're in third world country. There's a wire hanger.
Ireland's going to
literally.
appreciate that.
No, shut up. Not third world. I didn't mean that. But that, what was
my
that building?
bloodline.
What was that?
bloodline.
Mine too. My cool is that. Come on. But what? Describe the training room. Like the
No,
ceiling tiles.
it was
were
not
like,
the same. It was not the same type of venue that you would have here. It
Well,
was,
not even
It was an
cl- not even-
older- It was an older venue, and it was not. It wasn't.
And the
most
supplies weren't.
advantageous for
Yeah.
for
Putting an IV in a
medical
person
needs,
that's- yes.
and IVs and all that.
So
Yes.
literally, I guess I was on the table, and they had a wire hanger with an IV in me because, come to find out, I was severely dehydrated. My body was just flushing out sodium, which is a problem. And I guess.
as it's flushing out the truth. But we'll get to
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
He likes to say that I interrupt him in real life.
Yeah, that's
You know,
I'm sorry.
it's just funny. This is on camera.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, so I guess he came in because he had, already probably was in love with me at this point. He was bringing me
see that.
drinks on the bus. And, also a critical point is when we're overseas, we have 2 buses, good guys and bad guys.
This one's gonna sting a little bit.
This one's going to sting because it's the truth. You were a good guy. Were you a good guy or a bad guy? I don't remember. We were opposite buses until he couldn't stay away from me, apparently. And he hopped onto my bus.
broke kayfabe.
He hopped onto my bus.
Did you break kayfabe?
And listen, we weren't dating or anything. This is just still proof that he was, really, really trying. And so here I am in that.
Michelle, I didn't think Undertaker broke kayfabe.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he was on my bus.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I was on the wrong bus. I was completely out of it, but I think I was on the bus first. So for what it's worth. But I guess he had a match that night. I guess he was so worried about me. He came into the training room. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think people were trying to come in. He was keeping them out. Bless their hearts. They probably needed ankles taped and whatever else. And he's kicking them out of the training room.
My future queen needed to be taken care of.
Apparently I was freezing. He put his coat over me and went to the ring that night without his coat.
Whoa.
Right? That doesn't happen either. So that was also, people are now like, Taker's walking to the ring, no coat. It's on Michelle, though, to keep her warm while she's got
all
an
the
IV
rules.
and, So
I was deathly sick.
I really was. I don't remember the last 3 days of that tour. I don't remember how I got home to Florida, which, thank you to my dear husband. He arranged for a buddy who works for Delta to pick me up on the tarmac in Atlanta, right? In Atlanta, because I was so sick. They wouldn't have let me on the plane.
Excellent.
I didn't know. Yeah. So he got me on that flight. My parents met me, I guess, picked me up straight off the airplane in Gainesville and straight to the hospital I went. 16 days later, woke up, but literally almost died.
Holy crap.
Everything just completely shut down. And, while I was in the hospital, a bunch of the guys and girls called. I didn't know that, but they were checking on me. My parents gave me messages after I finally came to. And of course, he was calling to check on me. And I was like, that's weird. Like,
The girl almost died in my arms.
You're just trying to
Yeah.
make
I'm just trying to make
I
sure
almost
she's
died
okay.
in your coat.
Hmm?
Yeah. So anyway, that was like, okay, maybe he cares just a little more than maybe some people are right. I think he's got a crush.
I was concerned about one of my coworkers. She was deathly ill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is
You know what?
understandable.
That's understandable,
I
yeah.
think I showed my cards though on the flight. I had to be honest. I showed my cards. Like, you have to. You just don't. It was a different Mark. It was a different Taker, and
I don't think there was Mark then.
no, Mark didn't exist really.
Well, it was Mark BC before Christ.
And yeah, she was really sick, and I don't know, she may or may not have slept in my lap on the flight.
See, I honest to God don't remember that.
Her head.
Did I really?
Yeah. That's I
How
think.
did I never know this?
Huh?
You've never shared that?
No, I think Tori told you that. Like, that was the thing. Like, there was like when that happened, it was like
Which is crazy because I honest to God don't remember that. I don't remember getting home.
that's when I showed my hand.
That's when he's like, I'm going to let the world know. I don't care.
So,
So that was it.
Like everywhere I go on any given day,
You get the
I
question.
get the question. I always call it the question. Like when I do the One Dead Man show, I just wait with, I was like, when's it coming? Because I know it's going to come. And it's always like,
why didn't you and Sting ever have a match? Or why didn't, this happen or that happen? Which would have been, man, that would have been huge box office. It just didn't work out. And
he never came over to. I mean, he did, but it was just such a. He was a very short run in WWE.
Short run in WWE, and Vince didn't want it. Not for whatever reason. I don't know what it was. He just didn't. He didn't feel it, and everybody else was like, people have been clamoring for this match for quite a few years now. I mean, as soon pretty much. I don't know, a year or two into his turn or into that character change. I mean, people were already, they were sending me artwork with the billboard or the poster, right? And so, it just never worked out. And then it got, then it was 2 when he got there. The match would have been good, but I don't think it would have lived up to the expectations that people have for it. I mean, people always think about things in a certain sense. Like I think they thought in their mind of Undertaker 2007, 2008 versus, Sting. Yeah. It was later on than that. And, I can say, I was on the, I was way on the backside of what I was going to do when he got there, and
we may have thought that he was too, but apparently he.
Well, yeah, I mean, he hung on. But the smart thing that he did was he was booked judiciously.
Yeah.
He wasn't put into situations where he might have got exposed and not be able to maybe keep up with the younger talent. It was very, very that was that I don't know. It was probably him, I would imagine, because you have to understand your limitations. Because a lot of times people will they'll get caught up in the moment and let's put Sting in the ring with such and such.
Yeah.
And I'm just talking about I'm just talking about AEW. There would have been tons of single matches for him, but he kind of took what's the other kid's name?
Darby Allin.
Darby Allin. There was a little bit of chemistry there, and Sting was kind of that big brother type role.
Putting him in a tag team as well at this point of his career was a smart move.
It's a very smart move because you don't get exposed. You can very creatively pick your point. You pick your
when
spots.
You're saying exposed, it's not the fact that Sting doesn't have the talent. It's just Father Time
has never lost.
Yeah,
he's undefeated. He's and believe me, I know. I feel like I can speak on this, and I'm not trying to say anything disparaging about Sting.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. Like in my heart and my mind, if I could, I would still be in the ring.
Yeah.
But I had to come to the cold, hard facts that like what my mind's eye and my heart feel, my body wants no part of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just wants no part of it. And it doesn't allow me to, it doesn't allow me to do the things that I want to do. Could I go out there on my sweat equity and what I've done? Hell yeah, I could. I could go out there because I'm not patting myself on the back, but I don't think there's anybody in the business that can throw a punch like I can throw a punch.
Yeah.
And, I can choke slam. I'm not messing up my brand new knees with a tombstone, but I could walk out there and I could shuck and jive and smoke and mirror it and make people feel like they saw something, but that's just not right.
Yeah.
It's just people pay too much money to be entertained properly. And
that's the difference in having that mindset of being able to walk away with gas left in the tank. And I don't even know how old Sting is. I mean, he's
61, I think. I know he's older than I am.
What's insane is the fact that he's 61 and still looks pretty good in the ring. Like he can still move.
Yeah, he can still move. Yeah,
and work, which I think is a testament to what he's done. Going back to what you said just a little bit ago of, maybe proper booking and everything else. I think WCW did a really good job when he made that character change as well with him,
Right.
because we say it all the time. We've said it, I think, almost every episode. He can tell a story, and what they were doing with the NWO, and I mean the heat that they had and everything else. He could come in and not even have a match,
Right.
and he was. I don't know. You have to go back and look at the numbers, but I mean, I don't know how many matches he was having per year during that run with the NWO and him coming out of the rafters and stuff. But he would come out of the rafters on a Monday night with a baseball bat, clear the ring, be in the ring for 5 minutes, and never actually have a wrestling move,
Right.
and blow the roof off the place.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not sure because I wasn't there, but if I'm not mistaken, like all those top guys were not making the house shows. They weren't doing live events. They were doing TV, and
That's good living.
No, it is good living, and that's, you know, WWE still runs live events, but I mean, even they are more judicious with their talent.
Yeah.
You know, so that it keeps me. I mean, the model now is so good. I mean, it's a money making machine. But he didn't have, I don't think, the wear and tear on his body because he wasn't having to grind it out on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, he paid his dues. Don't get me wrong.
Early on, I mean, in the 80s, early 90s.
He paid his dues and earned that, and they were smart enough to, like, you know, let's take care of our top guys.
Yeah, luckily for him, they were able to do that to him, you know, those mid to late 90s, to where it was able to put a little bit more tread on those tires for him later in his career. And I think something that's kind of impressive with him is the fact that he never had that long run at WWE, which I feel like a lot of times since, call it late 80s, you needed a run with WWE to be a top guy in the wrestling industry, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair
and
statement.
he was able to do it without that big run at WWE.
Yeah, no, his little short amount of time,
I think people forget about it. I mean,
I don't, you know, I think he would have been even bigger, but you know, I don't think it tarnishes his legacy one bit because he was, you know, he was a loyal soldier, man, to, you know, WCW as long as he could be. And then obviously he went, I think, to TNA and did some stuff there. You know,
did you see while you were working in that switch? Did you see a lot of Undertaker in him when he made that switch?
Yeah, there was. Obviously, it was a darker character, more brooding type character. You know, of course, you know, and I'm sure, you know, there was things I would have done differently, but I thought he did a great job, especially from being the colorful, charismatic
Malibu Sting,
yeah, all that, you know, with the cropped, flat, blonde, you know, flat top kind of, you know, I mean, to go from that to this dark, brooding character.
Kids loved him. He's,
yeah,
you know,
I mean,
all
he
that
sold tons of merch, which I mean, he sold tons of merch, you know, as the dark side. What's the, I don't even know what the, everything has, like, I have eras of, like,
and
the purple era,
because he had that Malibu Sting, he had like I feel like they may have called it the Crow or something. I mean, I have to look it up. I mean, I'm not
Dark Sting, whatever it was.
Yeah, because you had like NWO Sting where he did the red and black face paint and stuff.
Right. But no, he did a good job with it, and I'm just, just can't do any more but give him congratulations on a tremendous career, and you know he's upright and walking away from it.
And the great Paul Heyman,
Hall of Fame, man.
He got the phone call.
I think, you know what, well deserved too. Man, he is. Not only has he got like a brilliant mind, like a brilliant wrestling mind, but man, even for as long as he's been involved in the business and around, he's still so passionate, and he's one of those guys. Like Paul Bearer was the same way with me. Like when he was managing Brock, and obviously now he's managing, you know, Roman Reigns. He's managed. I mean, I mean, he is so invested in those guys and their well-being, their decision-making. And he was very instrumental, Paul. I mean, I didn't even know, for somebody that's been in the business for as long as I have, I'm the most out-of-touch person with trends and how things are referenced. And,
Really?
yeah, really. Like I didn't even know there was a thing until like in the last, maybe the last 5 to 10 years that it was a thing to be a Paul Heyman guy. Like,
Really?
I did, yeah.
'Cause I love Paul Heyman.
No. But there's like the guys that work for him, like with ECW.
Oh, you're talking about a guy that's been managed by Paul
manage
Heyman.
him, or that Paul's had his hands on. You're like, oh, he's a Paul Heyman guy, right? Like, and I was probably one of the originals.
Yeah.
Not even really aware of it because he managed. He was managing me. When I went solo in WCW after Danny left, they put Paul with me, and he was so instrumental in like keeping me sane, really, because I was so frustrated there with what they were doing with me, and obviously the infamous meeting that I had with WCW's upper management, and he was such an advocate for me in the sense of getting me to Bruce, who would eventually get me to Vince and that whole thing. But he was a little better off than I was. Like I wasn't making any money. A lot of times, he would just pick up the rental cars instead of us splitting it, or he'd help me out when he could. And but the biggest, obviously the biggest contribution on my part with him was just that connection to get me out of WCW and into just into an opportunity.
Yeah.
With WWEF, whatever.
What is that? What's that manager role like? I think it's always weird. Like you look at a manager, like what's his outside of the storytelling that they can do outside that ring, and being able to, typically every single manager has to be really good on the mic and stuff like that, right? But what does it look like backstage? What is that relationship? It was a guy like a Paul Heyman. Did he feel like he was really my manager, like he was really my advocate? Was he that type of person even backstage?
Yeah. There's a lot of time, and Paul, if he's passionate about an idea, or his guy is passionate about an idea, I mean, he will flat out go to battle, right? I mean, and it's not his hill really to die on, but he will.
Yeah.
I mean, he truly is representing what they feel is the best move for where they're positioned. And not every manager is like that. Not every manager is not as invested as Paul.
Yeah.
Paul is. I mean, Paul can be brash, and he can say some things that ruffle your feathers, but overall, he's very smart about the business.
Did he have input on the matches, like for different things that would happen during the match? Like, let's say, you and Roman were going to wrestle, and you've got Paul as, Roman's guy or whatever, and you and Roman are going to sit down and have that conversation maybe before you go out, whether it's that morning or, leading up to the match. Does Paul sit down as well and put any input?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's totally invested.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, too, he'll go and relay things that maybe, like, his guy doesn't want to do. Hey, what do you think about this? Paul earns his money, man. He does a really, really good job of advocating for his guys. And, like I said, not everybody's that invested, but he'll fight and argue and try and get his point across and change people's minds. And, that's what you want. You as a talent, sometimes like you're trying to focus on, okay, I have to focus on this match and whatever that might be. So it's nice to have somebody who is so knowledgeable of the business going in there and not necessarily say politicking, but being an advocate.
Yeah.
I've used that word a couple times now, but doing the dirty work kind of part of it. And he's got the gift of gab. Another one of those guys that not quite as good as Vince, but he could sell quite a bit of ice to Eskimos.
I can imagine. Would a manager, whether it be Paul, whether it be a Cornette or a Paul Bearer or whoever, was there moments where during the match maybe they saw something that was going on in the match and they put some type of input even during the match? Maybe you go outside into the ring and they come over there and they're maybe punching you, stomping you, whatever, and maybe they're helping turn the match a certain way. Maybe
I'm sure that's happened. I don't ever recall it happening with me, but I'm sure. Like there's just certain times certain guys get in situations where they don't know what to do, and I think he would definitely be one of those guys. Like, okay, hey, you need to you need to bring it now. You need to get up there and bring it to him.
And I would imagine there's guys like Paul and Bear and Cornette and stuff that could stand outside that ring and see, man, this match ain't going great.
Right. Right.
And those were the types of guys that could bring influence into a match and get the crowd, especially like a Cornette, right?
Yeah.
And a Paul Heyman, who are just heels beyond heels, in their own right. Even if the Midnight Express was, baby faces, Cornette could.
Oh, absolutely.
He was a heel no matter what, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I would imagine there was nights where they could look out in that crowd and the pop wasn't there. The match might not be going the way they think it should be going. It might not be just crisp. And they could do something to really turn it around.
Oh yeah,
on their own.
Yeah, guys like Cornette and Heyman and Heenan. I mean, they knew they know they know the product, and they know sometimes that they got how they can interject and bring more to when it needs to be.
Yeah.
And then like guys like that, Cornette and Heyman, they've run territories, so they know every aspect of the industry. So it's like, okay, they're in a position where you can listen to them, and it's not like certain managers that have never taken bumps or never worked or had psychology, but Paul had that, still has it, still passionate about it, Paul has that unique ability to make you freaking hate him. Like he's just, it's just something about him. It is a gift that people just want to smack him.
I felt like the last couple of years, Paul Heyman has been a very instrumental part of keeping the storylines going for WWE in a positive direction, with maybe a little bit of the lack of kind of storytelling from some of the talent. He's been able to bring in some of that old school storytelling over the last few years that you could tune in just to see what Paul Heyman was going to do.
Yeah, he has that ability. I mean, with his facial expressions, like if he's got just a prime example, and this is the things that gets lost. Just the example sometimes of he's going to have to tell Roman something that Roman isn't going to want to hear.
Yeah.
You can see it in his face long before he says anything.
Yeah.
Right? That's storytelling.
And before he starts talking, you as the fan are on the edge of your seat.
Yeah. Well, how is Roman going to react to whatever it is Paul's about to tell him? And then just the the angst and the anxiety that Paul creates within his face, and then the stuttering and the nervous dialect. And I mean, that's such a gift that not everybody. They know that they know he's different, but they don't sometimes they don't really understand what all he's doing, because it's so subtle sometimes, but it's so vital to the overall story that they're telling. I mean, and that's probably one of the key roles to being a great manager, is not to you're not the steak.
Yeah.
But you might be some good mashed potatoes. I mean,
why are most managers heels, you think?
well, I mean, because so sometimes there's elements to a talent that they're not quite there. They're on the way, but they're missing certain. They're just missing certain qualities that might, hinder them. And then you have managers who can kind of fill those voids with the fact that, okay, you have this guy. Like, there's so many different stories. Like, is this manager using this guy for his own benefit? Is this guy, they're accent pieces, and then just some of them are just on different levels.
Yeah.
But you usually have heels managers. The babyface doesn't need help in a bad situation, right? I mean, that's the whole thing of being a babyface, is overcoming all obstacles.
Because your manager's always going to interfere in the match.
Yeah, at some point the manager is going to have a role.
Yeah.
It's going to give you that moment, that extra moment that you need to get your strength back, or after babyface has kicked your ass, or some way to distract or get the referee's attention. I mean, that's just wrestling 101.
I was raised in the Attitude Era. I mean, like, everything
What about
now,
tough love?
everything now is soft to me. Because, like, this is exactly, I mean,
Yep.
I saw it all. That was every Saturday, Monday, whatever it was back then, Tuesday or Thursday. I remember. I think it was Tuesday SmackDown back then.
But yeah, we would tape on Tuesday and it would air on Friday. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you had the Saturday Superstars. and stuff
Yeah,
like that,
exactly.
The main event.
The show
Saturday
you
night
just
main event.
would hate when you got to TV and said, oh, I got to do Superstars.
Yeah. But I had my routine down, man. I had these frozen pierogies, these Mrs. T's frozen pierogies. You know what I'm talking about? They're like potato and onion frozen. It was a little box like that. And I would get my TV tray, put it in the living room. I'd boil water, and I would take an onion. It's kind of disgusting thinking about it now. Take a half an onion, slice it up real good, take a quarter of a stick of butter, throw it in a frying pan, heat the butter up, take the half an onion sliced and throw it in the frying pan, boil the pierogies, and have it all. I would have it timed out so that by the time I took this plate with basically just a plate of potato and noodles and pierogies. Basically, I did. I was raised really poor, super poor, and but I would sit there and boom, the fires would start, and whatever the entrance was back then. Oh, totally, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was every Monday, and it had all of my attention, and super WWE loyal guy. Like I would watch WCW, but I'd kind of watch it like that the whole time with this
Where'd you
look
grow
on my
up?
face.
Ohio, right?
Youngstown, Ohio.
Yeah. So WCW, I grew up in the South, and that was
Right. Yeah,
like
it's
the
different.
product, right?
Exactly.
And
To us, it was
Who's your
always-
guy?
I mean, it's the greatest of all time, brother. There's only one. When we talk about wrestling, it is the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. There's no others. The thing is when you talk about Mount Rushmores, you have Ric Flair, and then you can go talk about your Mount Rushmore. You can't
even start without Rick on.
You don't even put him on there.
You don't
Because it's unfair to everybody else. The Mount Rushmore now for wrestling is just 3 people. That's all you can tell
Who's
me I'm
the
wrong.
3?
For me,
Yeah. What do you mean it's 3? Why is it only 3?
because Rick has that spot no matter
Oh,
what.
I see.
But it's really easy. I don't know. Understand why people even debate the Mount Rushmore. It's Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Ole Anderson, Tully Blanchard.
Shut
That's it. It's the four horsemen.
It's out of control.
It's the four horsemen.
You're out of control.
Tony, I work with a hick.
You really do.
J.J. Dillon made this really easy for us a long time ago by assembling the 4 greatest wrestlers of all time and creating the four horsemen. Coco Beware used to be 6'6", by the way.
So let me start with Coco. So when I debuted Survivor Series 1990, I was Ted DiBiase's. He debuted this guy, so I got to work against Dusty Rhodes, the Hart Foundation, and Coco Beware. And obviously, the whole match was designed to, make me look good and shine. The very first tombstone that I give was to Coco. And I give him the tombstone. 1, 2, 3, he's out. Anyway, we end up finishing the match, whatever. I get backstage. Coco is like, he gets me in the hallway, and man, he's just giving me the riot act. Like, man, somebody gives you your body, you got to be able to protect them, man. You hurt my neck. And I'm like, Coco, man, like, hey, if I hurt you, man, I'm sorry. I really pride myself on, being safe and taking care of the guys that I'm working with. I said, I apologize. And he just, he kept going. He was pissed. He kept going. And anyway, it got to the point where, like, I'd apologized all I could apologize for, and I was like, and that's what I said. I was like, Coco, I've apologized to you as much as I know how to do. I said, if you're not going to accept that, like, maybe we need to go out in the lot, and, and figure this out.
This versus Coco.
Well, hey, Coco was tough, man.
Yeah.
He's a tough dude, but I mean, he's already confronted me. I mean, he's already given me the riot act. He's looking up at me. I'm like, that took balls in its own right.
Yeah.
And, but he was like, no, man, you just need to learn to be more careful. And that was it. And me and Coco were fine. We've been fine ever since. And, anytime we see each other, we hug and everything else. Would you shut up? Let me
snug. We're just showing the
get for perspective.
Oh, like,
Come on, it didn't deserve all that now.
He folded him up like a cheap card table.
Anyway,
oh,
I was
Coco used to be 6'6".
you were going to take him in the lot and beat the shit out of him after that?
I would apologize. I apologized.
He had probably forgotten that you'd apologize. Every time you apologize, he probably had I don't know if I brought this up to you yet, but you need to be safer out there.
Could you imagine if he was actually facing the hard camera where we could actually see what happened?
Oh, man. Yeah. That's why it looked so bad, because I wasn't facing hard camera. If I'd have been facing, you would. Anyway, so all these years.
He's like, oh, it was a little bit of a snug tombstone.
So all these years, I thought I really
You
did.
have to show that. I'm sorry to keep interrupting, but you have to have that go over again and again on the actual video part of this. That one little GIF.
I'm putting Coco
Just
in all
one
of the.
leg disappearing.
We had to.
for some
So
reason.
the first time he ever talked about this, we had to do a follow up where Mark was like, after watching that video,
Well, that's what I was about to say.
crying.
Like, I, after it came up, I actually went and watched it back. And I was like, oh.
so
Coco had a little bit of beef there. I was like, damn, because I was always under the impression, I was like, man, he's overreacted here a little bit. And then I went back and watched it, and I was like,
overreaction.
I was like, holy shit, I damn near killed Coco.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The
You almost
only
made
one
Frankie an orphan.
yeah, I mean,
Oh yeah.
the only one, obviously, that's worse than that. I mean, was I damn near broke the Golden Goose's neck with the air tombstone.
You know the Hogan story, right?
No.
Oh, you don't know this story? Oh man, 1991, my 1 year anniversary with the company. I wrestle at Survivor Series. I wrestle
none other than the Golden Goose himself. And that was, Hogan was referred to as the Golden Goose. He was the star, the moneymaker, the big dude. So, I'm going to go over. I'm going to win the championship. And at the time, I was the youngest. That would have made me the youngest champion in WWF at the time history. Like Hogan back in the day, the rest of the talent usually had to show up by 1 o'clock on a pay-per-view TV day. Hogan usually roll in around 5, do his deal. So I get there. It's at Joe Louis Arena, Detroit, Michigan. I show up there about noon, 12:30. Hogan's already there.
Oh.
And I'm walking down the hall, just going to my locker room, and he goes, "Hey brother, can I talk to you?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, man. Yeah." I said, "Let me just drop my bag off." He's, "No, I'll come with you." So I go into the dressing room. I put my bag off. He goes, "Hey, let's go back here into the shower." Like back in the day, you go in the shower. Usually means you're going to settle something or something that had to be discussed that was important. You're either going to fight or something was going to happen. That's usually where it happened at. So we go back into the shower. Nobody can hear us. Nobody talk. He goes, "Hey, I'm really nervous about taking the tombstone. I got this bad neck." And I was like, "Terry," I said, "Look, I promise you," I said, "I'll take great care of you. I don't need, you don't need to worry. I'll have you." I said, "Just don't worry about it." "Well, I've got a lot of neck issues." I was like, "Well, I mean, and he said, "I'm going to do it. I just need you to know I got these neck issues." And I was like, "Brother, I promise you, your head will never touch." Mm-hmm. Okay. So now we have this conversation. We part ways. Now, every time that I see him for the rest of the day, like, going through catering or whatnot, he gives me the old, like, "Don't forget what we talked about," right? He's like, he'd hold his neck and, give me, "Brother." So, it started to get to me a little bit. Like, I'm about to beat Hulk Hogan for the world heavyweight title. And, so we get into the match, and match goes the way it goes. Now it's time for the finish. Finish is where I'm going to tombstone him on a chair. Flair he runs down to the ring, slides the chair into the ring. I give him a tombstone on the chair. That was going to be it. 1, 2, 3. Mm-hmm. When I tell you, I had the man. And the man was, I've given my kids rougher bumps than I give Hogan.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I wrap him up. I've got him. The chair comes down. Boom. As soon as my knees touch, right? Which, Hogan's the big dude. Boom. As soon as my knees touch, "Oh, brother, you got me." I'm like, "Oh, shit. Oh, I just crippled the Golden Goose. I just hurt Hogan."
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've gone from becoming champion till I'm going to probably get fired over this, right?
Yeah.
This is all running through my mind in the instant. Like, oh, crap. He warned. I am just like in strict panic mode. He's laying there. Finally, he gets up and he leaves. I don't remember if he was helped out or whatnot. So I'm here, like I'm supposed to be having this moment, which it had to have been internal anyway, because I'm the Undertaker, and the Undertaker wouldn't celebrate. But all I'm thinking of is like, I'm about to go backstage and get fired, and I've hurt Hulk Hogan on top of it. Right? This is like, you just fumbled. So I'm walking back, and I get backstage, and I was like, "Where's Hogan?" And they said, "No, he's in Vince's office." I'm like, "Oh, great." So I go into Vince's office there at Joe Louis. Hogan's laid on the floor.
Oh, no.
Got people all around him, And I'm like, holy shit. So I'm going over, like, check on him and, apologize and everything else. Like, as soon as I start to get over there, here come the EMTs. And like, it's, back then it was still kayfabe and everything. Everybody protected the business. So I went into the restroom and was like kind of behind a retaining wall that was like that. And, I can hear the conversation, like, hey, can you feel your hands? Can you this and that? And I'm just like, oh my God. Yeah, I'm just like in strict, I'm in total panic. And Shane McMahon comes back and, he's shaking his head. He's like, I don't really understand why he's shaking his head no, but he's shaking his head and like, don't, you shouldn't be worried about this. And I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me? Yeah.
And what is he at the time? Like 18 or something?
Oh yeah, he was young. Yeah. And I can hear the EMTs, they're checking him out. And then all of a sudden I hear Hogan go, somebody get my wife and kids on the phone. And I'm just like, oh. So anyway, they put him on the board, and then they put the board on the gurney. They take him off to the hospital. I'm just like, I'm done. Like, I'm gonna have to start calling. I'm gonna call and apologize to Ole, tell him I'm.
You're right.
I'm right, but can I just So, but everybody. So I'm walking down the hall, right, and I just think I've crippled Hulk Hogan, and guys are coming up to me like Mark, his head never touched, and I'm like, no, I can't hear it, right? I mean, I can't. None of that is registering with me. I'm like, no, man, I dropped him on his head. I hurt him bad. I mean, they took him out in an ambulance, and everybody's telling me like,
you're rationalizing it. The chair that's 2 inches higher than what you're used to tombstoning.
Yeah.
He must have clipped it.
But everybody's coming up to
You're
me.
probably replaying what you actually did to Coco Beware.
Right. But everybody's coming. That's great. Yeah.
Not again.
Even Coco.
Not again.
Coco was probably at home rolling. See it, son of a bitch. No. So, but all the guys are coming up and saying like, man, his head never touched. And I'm like, no, man, I got him. So we didn't have I didn't have the same accessibility to monitors and playback back there in '91 as we do now. So it took a few days before I actually got to see the footage. Mm-hmm. Sure enough, fucking head never touched.
Right.
Here you go, Tony.
He was old school. Wow.
You can see how far his head is from the chair.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I've given my kids much rougher bumps than that.
And what sucks about this is Mark has his family in town.
Yeah, I'd flown.
Right.
Like, I'm still trying to dig myself out of debt, but I'm about to win the World Heavyweight Championship, so I've flown my family to Detroit.
Wow.
From Houston, and they're ready to celebrate and have a good time, and I can't even I couldn't eat. I
missed your reservations. And
everything. It was horrible. But now I see the footage, and I'm thinking, like, his head never touched. Like, why? So now I'm having to have this. They come up with this Tuesday in Texas, this pay-per-view that they just add out of the clear blue. A pay-per-view on Tuesday never happened, but now there's this Tuesday in Texas pay-per-view. I'm thinking, oh man, this is going to be my punishment. They're going to take the title away from me right now, and all this stuff's in my head. But I'm going to get an answer. So I'm thinking, well, I ain't got fired yet, but like I need to know what's going on here. So Terry shows up, and I pull him aside, and I was like, Terry. He goes, yeah, brother. I was like, I watched the footage back of that tombstone. He was like, yeah, brother, yeah. And I was like, your head never hit. He goes, oh yeah, brother. Well, what it was that you had me so tight when you were protecting me, but you had me so tight that when I came down, like I didn't have any room to move, and it wrenched my neck. And I'm like, at that moment right there, and I knew. I said, okay. Like, what am I doing? I can't, I'm not going to fight Hulk Hogan. I don't, that's definitely a red slip there, a pink slip. But it let me know everything that I needed to know at that time about who he was as a person.
How did it feel to be in the ring at WrestleMania again?
Here's the coolest thing about this whole weekend. And I've only shared this, well, until now, I've only shared it with Michelle. It was something happened this weekend. And I have been struggling with it since I retired. But this weekend gave me closure.
Wow.
It really did. Like, it was fun. Obviously, it was fun. I mean, you can't, doing this for as long as I have and being involved in that and how important that storyline was and is. But when it was over and I'm running out of the building, I'm good now. And I don't know if I needed, because I never, my last match was in the Boneyard. There was nobody there.
Yeah.
Cinematic. It was, I don't know how you say it. It was like a moment of clarity that I had. Like, I'm okay now. Like, I'm not saying that I won't, I won't do that something like that in the future. But I don't have that feeling in my chest like I've had since I retired that I need, like I hadn't come to peace with it. And like I knew, just like I knew when I knew it was over in the Boneyard match at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good.
Wow.
Yeah. And it just, I had no clue, but I just knew once it was done, I was like, you're good, man. It's time to flip the page and go to the next chapter. And it was such a cool weekend all the way around. And then to finish up and then have closure to, the wrestling part of my career. And it was so cool, man. It was really cool. It was a great feeling, and it's just it's amazing. It really is an amazing feeling because I don't have that pressure now that I've put. It's been difficult the last couple of years.
Oh, I know.
Especially at Mania, like even going to a regular premium live event, I've told you this, like I leave, I would leave before the matches because I get so like to that point where I need to be out there. I need to be out there. And so I was out there and, my goodness, what a moment to have, it's such a great storyline, but yeah, man, it was like, I can close this book, man, because.
And doing it with someone like The Rock and doing it on that stage. And it wasn't no offense to any of the other pay-per-views, no offense to anywhere else in the world or anything like that, but to be able to do it at WrestleMania and to be able to do it in front of a live crowd, especially a crowd like a Philadelphia crowd.
Yeah. They were great Sunday night. They were really awesome, and yeah, it was just man.
I was almost worried that it was going to give you another fire to
and believe me, that crossed my mind. But even when I got that call earlier in the week, like it was different. Like normally I would have been just like amped and ready. But I didn't really think anything about it until it all happened. And then that's when it was crystal. Like,
by the time Michelle and Kaya had got backstage, everybody else had left. Like I was like, dude, I'm good, you know?
Yeah. Were you nervous at all? Were you nervous about the spot? I mean, it's been a minute since you've.
I was more nervous about having to get where I had to get through the people, everything. Like, and I hadn't tested the new hardware, you know, and I had a pretty good, you know, it was a pretty fair distance I had to run. And then you're trying to run at 6'8" and 300 pounds and be inconspicuous as you do it. And, you know, so that part was kind of, you know, that's kind of what makes you nervous, because you want to make it as big a surprise as you can.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's, you know, there's easier ways to get to that point, but this was a big effort to get me from point A to point B, from point B to point C, be in the ring.
Well, you know, and also kudos to The Rock in that moment too.
Yeah.
It was perfect. He stared up the ramp for the perfect amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
The turnaround and the look on his face. I mean,
oh, brother, it was bad. We were in '98 again,
bro.
It was.
I felt like we were in '98 again.
It really
I was
did.
15 all over it.
It was crazy. Like, and you could tell as huge a megastar as he is now,
He's a wrestler.
He's a wrestler, and he was in his element. And you just can't, you know, doing movies and doing different things like that, you cannot replace the feeling of having 72,000 people, you know,
boo you or cheer
hate
you.
but the energy that you're receiving from that, man, it was, you know, it was so much fun.
And you're standing in that ring, and the look that both of y'all had on, I mean, it was so perfect. It was old school. It was 1998. It was Attitude Era. It was pro wrestling at its finest in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Just in that moment. There was one move that happened, but yet there was everything that pro wrestling is supposed to be was in that moment right there. And then the other part to it all that I don't know if anybody is even thinking about, and we're going to go ahead and give credit to First Phorm for this. Brock doesn't have a belt on, and you grab him to choke slam him, and you got him up, and you went, and you could see where you went to grab the pants, and there's no
belt or anything.
There's nothing there
yeah.
to grab, and I don't even know if you realize this. I don't even know if you've noticed that or anything, but you just put the hand on his back at that point, but you got him up pretty good, you know, and which I thought was pretty dang impressive.
He's pretty solid. He's pretty dense.
I would imagine.
But yeah, you just, it was fun. I mean, it just was. It was just like a little flashback, and he was he was really just all my dealings with him, you know, that night, and he was so gracious, and I just sensed that he was just happy, like being involved in that again.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, obviously he's one of the most, he's probably the biggest movie star out there. I would have
right now. I mean,
right? But you could just tell he was in his element, and he was so kind and gracious to everybody. Man, it was really, it was good to see, and man, it was just overall, man, what a great weekend. It used to be in wrestling, you're always worried about getting screwed somehow, right? I mean, it's in your nature, ingrained in your nature, especially us old timers, right? It's just like, promoter's trying to screw me. This guy's trying to, you know, he's trying to screw me over, make me look bad. You know, that's just the way you're brought up, or the way, you know, back in the day. And I don't think it's so much that anymore. I still think there's some of it, but for the most part, I don't know that they feel like they got it in for me, or you know, it's just like I saw something. Gosh, it was a comment. Somebody asked Triple H a question about
other talent from coming in from other places. And it was so true, but I'd never heard anybody really say it. Is like, like there was a lot of time when guys came in from back in the day when the guys came in from WCW and were big stars in WCW, and not such big stars when they got to WWE.
We saw
of course, people are always wanting to point the fingers at, like, well, there was this vendetta against this, against that's all. That's just crap. That's not. If you
draw money,
if you draw money, you're going to be. Now you have to. Obviously you have to be put in this situation to be able to draw money, but you also have to be able to. You have to work within that WWE frame of mind.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I think that he was trying to say was just because that you were a big star there, a big star here, doesn't mean that you're going to fit into the system. You're going to fit into the WWE system without a little bit of acclimation time, and that's what most smart marks they don't get. They think, he was this huge star at this company, but now, WWE's
God has had it out for him.
Why on earth would, this is the stupidest thing you ever heard. Why would you even waste anyone's time just to bring them in to hold them down?
And the money that you're going to spend by doing that as well
it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
You don't bring people in to hold them down. You bring people in to make your product better.
If you can make money, you can draw money.
Yeah.
Look at Booker T.
Yeah. He came from, he came from WCW, and you look at his WWE resume, it's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah.
But it's just, I think if people were as actually smart as they thought they were, sometimes it would be. I'm going to get on a whole nother tangent.
Ric Flair has said it. It's easy to get there. It's just hard to stay.
Yeah.
And I think it's almost been the opposite for Cody. It's been really hard to get there. I mean, he has, he was, it felt like he was almost getting buried with some of the, the characters that he was having to portray and, that type of stuff. But he leaned into it. He did what he needed to do. And now he's come back with this American Nightmare that I think has, it's got a John Cena feel to it when it comes to the crowd. The kids are in love with it. He's got every kid eating out of the palm of his hand. The adults are into it.
Yeah, I don't know if Cena, because Cena was hot and cold. It was crazy. Like one night you go out there, he'd get booed completely out of the building. Cena, yeah, he would get completely booed out of the building, and then the next night he'd be cheered and still selling more merch than anybody. But Cena was like, he was. When Stone Cold came along, and he's one of the ones that first made the anti-good guy.
Yeah.
That's when it all kind of started flipping around. Like if you're, you got to be a bad guy to be a good guy, kind of a deal. Or that may have started with me, but I don't count. I don't count me.
Some influence.
I don't count me. But anyway, but. Yeah, so you never knew it was Cena, like whether he was going to get booed or cheered. Because you'll have they would break out, crowds would break out. Like one side is like we want Cena, and the other side Cena sucks. Going back.
You were
and
getting
forth.
that was happening at WrestleMania as well with that too.
Yeah. So Philadelphia. Yeah.
Imagine that.
Cody. Well, and you're talking about we were talking about being the chaser or the his dad. Dusty was a great chaser.
Yep.
Right. He was always chasing Flair.
Yep.
Yeah. I think he won the title a couple of times, maybe. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was always having to overcome the obstacles. Oh, you'd have to overcome the Horsemen. He'd have to overcome all these different things. He'd lose a loser leave town match.
Yeah.
Try to say that 3 times fast. And
With a few happy dads in.
yeah, well, happy dad, you're screwing up my dialect here. But I always thought, as Dusty was a chaser. I was a chaser.
Oh yeah. You were a better.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
no offense. I mean, the chase for you was much better than
Yeah.
being the holder.
It's just a lot of times, like my character was, I was such a dominant character. It's not like as champion, like who the hell's going to beat him?
You were an Andre Giant of your time.
Sort of, yeah. But the thought was like, Undertaker's after the title. Whoa, what's gonna what's gonna happen? And then
Because then the other part is once you get the belt, it's hard to get the belt off of a guy like yourself, right?
Exactly.
And it's like who do we have on the roster that makes sense to be able to beat an Undertaker?
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden now we got the streak going on at WrestleMania. We can't change titles at WrestleMania now, and it's like it can be tough there, right?
And then same thing carried over with me and Kane as tag team partners.
Yeah.
Like who the hell's going to beat these guys?
Yeah.
Right. So. So it'll be interesting to see because you're right. It was a phenomenal chase. I mean, all the stuff that he had to overcome and everything else, and it'll be interesting. It really will. But I think he has the I think he has the intellect, and I think they have the when you have obviously he has the support of the people. He's got the trust and support of creative. So I mean, we'll see.
I was going to ask this later, but since you just said that, the crowd's going to turn on him eventually. You know what I mean? Like it's
inevitable.
It's inevitable, right? Like we're going to turn on him. We're going to, because Cody does feel like the good guy. He's Dusty's kid. He's the perfect guy. He's the underdog that overcame and won. And now it's like
perfect heel.
The underdog story is over now. He's the only place he can go, in my opinion. He's going to be a babyface for a minute, but I see.
Yeah, you see the heel turn.
I see a heel turn eventually, because it's got to happen. I think it's got to happen if we want him to be a long reigning champion.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that they will. I don't know that he would switch as champion. I would see. I don't know that. You don't know. I don't know what the approach would be there, but I think he would be a good. I think he would be a good heel.
I think he's got.
He's got heel qualities.
Yes.
He has. He gives me a heel vibe.
Yes.
Like he could. I could see him very easily being smug and better than that. Don't anybody get carried away. That's all work, but I can see it. Like I feel it in the character.
I think I could see him being the rich kid, I'm better than you persona. Mm-hmm. My daddy was Dusty Rhodes.
Yep.
He was the son of a plumber, but I'm not. I'm the son of a champion. Mm-hmm. I changed things. He comes out. Cody he likes to wear the suits already.
Yeah. Well, and he could turn on his daddy.
Oh.
I'm just saying. Right? Son of a plumber. I'm wearing $4,000 suits.
Yeah, my daddy couldn't do what I did. My daddy could never win the belt.
I'm getting hot right now.
I watched the WWE biography about Yoko. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
I have not seen it yet.
Yeah, it was. I learned a lot about him in that documentary. And
Talking about a good dude, man. He was, man.
Yeah,
he's a good dude. I enjoyed, man, and I enjoyed working with him. And he was just so. He defied what your eyes could comprehend.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody that size should have been able to do the things that he could do when he first came up. It was just like, there's no way he can move like that. And he sure could, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he could throw the, well, Sean calls it sweet chin music, the super kick. Some people call it a savate kick. I mean, he could just flat out get it up there, man. He was so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Do you feel like with him that he felt maybe obligated to be that side? I mean, like for that character, like it was almost a.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he was when he came in, you know, 420 or something like that. But at 420, he could still move like a cat.
Yeah.
I think it was just he got over making money. I think just our excessive lifestyle
Yeah.
kind of caught up a little bit. I think more so than anything. I mean, I was living in Nashville, and we were having a show in Nashville, and he shipped a cooler. I don't know what's the big ones.
It's like a 45 quart or something.
It was huge.
Yeah.
He mailed from L.A. He lived in L.A. He mailed a cooler to me full of turkey tails. Have you ever had turkey tails?
No, I don't even know what a turkey tail is.
It's the ass of a turkey. But so there's just a minuscule amount of like meat.
Okay.
The rest of it's just fat.
Okay.
And he shipped this to my house. So we worked I lived in Nashville at the time. We worked in Nashville. And then after the show, everybody went to my house, right? The whole BSK is represented, right? So my house was built on the side of a hill. Like my backyard just went.
Yeah.
So we're sitting on the back deck. You got something to do?
No. I'm getting a message come through.
Okay, sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt. But anyway. So you got this cooler full of turkey tails, turkey okolie. And he grills them up. And I kid you not, inside the cooler was a thing of mayonnaise like that.
Oh, my gosh.
And he's grilling these turkey tails up, and they're dipping them in mayonnaise, and they're eating them, and they're throwing the bones off the back of my deck. It's just nothing but turkey fat. Does it taste good?
I would imagine.
Oh my gosh.
I'd imagine it's amazing.
Even with the mayonnaise on it. And I'm not a mayonnaise guy, but I mean, it was just like, yeah. So that kind of, that kind of diet is not real conducive to
longevity,
staying lean or keeping your weight down. But wow, what a good dude.
And the documentary was very positive light too, in the sense of how his he seemed like a very nice, positive guy, fun-loving, in the locker room, and it seemed like a family man. And I mean, it was.
No, he was. He was a good dad, and he didn't like waiting in lines though.
I don't like waiting in lines.
No, yeah, he didn't wait in lines
for anything.
No. We just fall right in behind him. We go up to I remember I think we were up in Moncton or somewhere up in far east Canada.
Yeah.
And we're waiting to get, there was a big long line out the bar. And he was like, "No, Marcus, let's go." Like, this line. we just walk right through it, and bouncers would be like, "Well," just watch each one of us walk by.
I mean, you got to think about it. At the time, you're what, 6'8", 320?
And this is all of us.
All BSK?
All of us are there.
Yeah. I mean, what are you going to say?
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, you got Yokozuna, you got Rikishi, you got the Godfather, you got the Godwins, Savio, Brian Adams, and myself, all walking into the bar. They're just like, "Yeah, let's just go ahead and let them guys in."
Yeah, there's no bouncer that's going to stop.
Yeah, at that point, yeah, it ain't
that
worth
crew.
That $15 an hour, whatever he was making that night, wasn't worth.
It wasn't worth the money.
No, not at all. Oh my goodness! I remember one night I think we were in the Philippines or something like that. And it's a good night back then when the Godfather would get up on stage and sing the blues with a band. Like, dude, he'd hit a blues note, and man, he'd get up there.
Can he sing?
The Blues? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good, right? And this particular night, we were in this high-rise hotel, really nice, real bougie hotel, and they invited us up, and, you know. And we weren't rowdy. Like, we weren't, I mean, we weren't, like, really boisterous. Like, we weren't messing with people. We weren't, you know, we were spending a lot of money on booze, as we always did. We all may or may not have come out of our shirts, but, I mean, it's hot in the Philippines.
Including Yoko.
Yeah, all of us. Yes. Yeah, it's scary, right?
Yeah.
And Godfather up on stage singing the blues.
Shirtless.
Yeah.
Barrel chested.
Just big barrel sweating. Like it was, but.
Did he have the hat on?
He did have a hat on. I'm pretty sure he had a hat on. And, yeah, they had roped us off a nice little section, and we stayed in our section and didn't mess with anybody.
Okay.
And I mean, I could probably say we probably spent as much money as the rest of the entire bar spent. I mean, they asked us not to come back. But I don't know why. I mean, we didn't beat anybody
Y'all
up.
weren't destructive. I mean, all the stories I've ever heard from any of the guys that's in BSK, it was your tight knit group. No one else was essentially. I mean, people would come hang out with you, but this is y'all.
Yeah,
you're doing your thing.
Yeah.
Carving out a corner of a bar, and just drinking, having a good time.
Yep.
And I would imagine typically if there was someone invited, they were maybe of the opposite sex, and maybe
there's no pictures.
No, just good conversations is what it is. So the celebrity wing would be Snoop, Kid Rock, and Jelly Roll would fall in there.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's
That's a 3 solid members right there. I tell you what, Morgan Wallen's pleading his case.
Okay, I can't have anybody throwing chairs now. I can't, you know.
Hold on, you can't have it. Do you not remember Godfather in Savannah? Well, you don't remember.
I remember everything that happened that night.
He threw some chairs that night.
Maybe I don't remember everything now.
Yeah,
what did he throw chairs for?
It was at the end of the night, and he, I'm trying to get you guys out of there, and you know, there's me and my brother and Andy, and we're trying to get you guys out, and all of a sudden, you got Godfather over here folded chairs, and he throws one across the room. And I was like, Bear, what are you doing, man? Oh, and some type of gibberish come out his mouth. And all of a sudden, next thing I know, we're in the car. And
weed's the best thing that ever happened to him.
And he's yelling at you. You're in the back seat.
Why y'all put me in the back? I'm
Bro,
the tallest one of all of us.
Bear got in the front. The funniest part was Bear got in the front. You get in the back, and he leans the seat all the way back.
He ain't right, man.
So, yeah, that's alcohol for you. It brings out great times. No one talks about the good times of sitting around sober and,
that's true.
Chatting about politics. That's
we don't chat about
that's
politics.
No fun. So, thank you, Happy Dad. Cheers to BSK.
BSK.
Man. Yeah. Cheers to your boys there. WrestleMania is going to Vegas. It hasn't gone to Vegas since Caesar's Palace, your Hall of Fame match.
Giant Gonzalez.
I mean,
man,
the match that sealed
the deal.
Your
right
deal, the ring on. I mean, they went and I think they got your ring size after that for your Hall of Fame ring.
Wow, that match. That whole angle. Oh my gosh, I should have been in the ring with Yoko then.
But instead,
I'm riding out on the chariot with a big black vulture. That big black vulture was there to pick the bones of that sorry match. Oh my gosh. You know what? It is amazing that I survived the early years of my career.
It really, the opponents that, and I'm not going to name names, but I'll name that one because I've talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
And I'll probably go to hell for this, but he's deceased anyway. But I mean, John Gonzalez, brother, wow, he was. I mean, Giant Gonzalez made Khali look like Luthez. I mean,
I don't think anyone's mistaking him for a cat by any means.
wow, my goodness,
Yeah.
It was such a struggle, and it wasn't his fault. I mean, it was what it was. You can only do what you can do, but and he was on paper, what a viable threat to the Undertaker. He's a foot taller than me.
Yeah.
I mean, a foot taller. He was damn near 7'8", and man, he had that muscle suit with the fur on it. And
What did he look like under the muscle suit? I think I
didn't
remember.
I didn't spend a lot of time. Like once I was done, at ding ding ding,
Done.
I was done. I
Time
was
to
just
go
like,
home. I'm done with this guy.
I need to go and have some cold beverages. I need to have lots of cold beverages and try and wash this out of my memory bank because they were awful. I don't think I had one good match with him, and it was and believe me, because that was 93 maybe.
It was WrestleMania 9.
7, 8, 9 would have been 93.
Yeah.
Wait, 90.
91
was 7. 92 was in Indianapolis. I think it was
93. Yeah.
I think it was 93 at Caesars in Vegas. Oh my! I tried hard, man, to make something. I was trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit, and it was just awful. I was killing myself because like he was so limited to what he could do.
Yeah.
Just grab me and throw me around. And at that time, I didn't. That was boom setup taker, no sell taker. It was all about the character, and I was having to reach the outer banks of everything just to try and make it. Yeah, I was just like, oh my gosh, maybe if he just kicks the shit out of me for like 5 or 6 minutes here, and then we'll figure out some way to get out of this. It was awful, and he snapped me, right? He made me crack. I don't know if I've told you. If I've told you the story.
You've told it to me, yeah.
So, the 90s, I burned the candle.
Really?
I burned it on both ends, in the middle, and around the sides. So
Man,
I know.
doesn't sound
It's
like you at
I know
all.
it doesn't sound like me at all,
Yeah,
right?
I heard that Bear used to drink too.
No, a little bit.
Yeah.
No, he did. Just a little,
Yeah. Wow.
a smidge here and there. Just
I just can imagine Godfather drinking.
social sipper.
Little red wine with a steak.
Anyway, so back, I have in '93. I've got zero really juice. I got no pull. I got no stroke. And back in '93, we were still doing double shots. Double shots. A certain part of the year, on Saturday and Sunday, we worked 2 shows we worked 2 shows on Saturday and we'd work 2 shows on Sunday.
Yeah.
And we're out at that point sometimes 3-4 weeks straight. Working every day. We would do 3 days of TV that would play, and then we toured. That's all we did. City to city to city to city.
Yeah.
Double shots on the weekend. So I think it was I want to say it was Indianapolis was the first show, and bell time was noon, right? Because then we had to go down maybe to Cincinnati, somewhere like that. And I'd had a late night, and I'd been telling George, I was like, I don't care how hard you hit me, like with a forearm smash, right? You hit. I said, I don't care how hard you hit me, just hit me in the shoulder blades. That's all I ask. Hit me in the shoulder blades, and I will sell for you, and we will do what we came here to do. every time, man, he would pull me down. He'd grab me by the back of my head. He'd pull me down, and I'm expecting the shot across the shoulder blades, and he'd hit me in the back of the neck. And I was as patient as long as I could be. Every time we'd go back to the dressing room, George, when you pull me down, make sure you hit me. And I would grab another person and show them the shoulder blades.
This is where the shoulder blades are located.
This is your landing zone right here.
Yeah.
Hit me as hard as you want. I don't care. Just hit me here. He'd shake his head like he understood me, and I'd go to Bruno, Harvey Whippleman. Harvey, he got it. He know. Yeah. He's got it. Next night, same thing. So we get to this double shot, and I'd had a late night, a really late night. And it was an early day, 12 o'clock, first ding, ding, ding at 12 o'clock. We were on right before intermission. Ding, 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 bell rings. Not even 5 seconds. Like the whole match is just me bumping around anyway until the end.
Yeah.
Just making him look like the monster and the killer that he was. 5 seconds in, here we go. He pulls me down and he cracks me right across the back of the neck. And then once I got the feeling back in my little fingers, because now I'm getting stingers that are shooting down, I flipped. I turned around and just started wailing on him. I beat him, and he was like, he had no clue. Like he couldn't even, I hit him so fast, so many times that he couldn't defend himself. Because he was trying to lean back, and I'm just wailing on it.
You're punching up.
Oh yeah, it's a good thing I was punching up because I was pissed, and I still like I'm throwing punches, and my fingertips are like going in. And I can still feel it, and I can see at the time George Animal Steel was an agent, and I can see him running up the aisle, I can hear he's yelling, like, kiddo, stop. So anyway, I think I just got out of the ring or something happened. I count out some kind of bull crap, and I went back to the dressing room. I was just waiting on him to come back, man. He came back. He was already lumped up. And they held me back, and I had really lost it. And I felt bad then afterwards. I mean, he's almost 7'8", 400 pounds. Yeah. And I feel bad that he was just, he was limited to what he could do. And it was just, I'd had enough. And that didn't happen very often. In my 30 years, like it happened maybe twice.
You didn't lose your cool in the
I
ring?
didn't lose my cool. Now I lose my cool afterwards, like in the back. Like a lot of times, like I choose a lot of ass in the back.
I got in trouble and they sent me to Canada because I threatened to kill Shawn Michaels and the entire Kliq. They hit, I thought that, I thought it was them.
Nonchalant, he just said that.
I meant that I meant it. But I found out later on it was Paul Bearer who hit my crutches. And I blamed it on Shawn now because they came up to me, hey man, they hit your crutches? What happened? And I was like, man, you too small to be talking to me.
I tell you.
I said, I will kill you and everybody that know you.
Paul Bearer was evil, man. I'm telling you, Paul Bearer
he was a wreck.
Paul Bearer almost had the whole Kliq killed.
So you remember Sid Vicious?
Oh yeah.
So Sid was behind Shawn, and when I threatened them, Sid was like, and I was like, you breathing heavy for? I'm not talking to you, but if you want it, you can get it too. That's like, he know who I am.
Yeah.
And he was like, when that switch flipped, man, who you are. Ask Vince himself.
Yeah.
I told Vince where to take a step back. Like, you in my face? I don't give a how much money you got. You better back up. He's like, you're crazy. No, I'm not. I'm mad. And that's when I was stupid. And, you know, you can't be in a professional industry with no couth. You can't.
Yeah.
They're going to get rid of you. And that's what happened to me. They were like, I would just rather pay you your money and you get the out of my face. So they sent me to Canada. Because I didn't know, nobody ever sat me down and taught me wrestling etiquette. See, now they got the developmental system and NXT and mentors and this, that. They didn't have that when I came in. I had people ribbing me, belittling me, jealous of me, mad that I was getting the money that I was getting because they had worked their whole life, and justifiably so. I know what the business is now. If I was them, I would be mad at me. But they sent my ass to Canada, and I would see Owen every week. And Owen would be like, man, you know why everybody mess with you, right? And I was like, it's because I'm black.
Nope.
And Owen said, no, it's not. It's because it's entertaining. When you mad, bro, it's like the best thing in the world.
Wrestler 101. If somebody ribs you, you don't sell it.
Yeah.
That's and that was what he had to learn.
I didn't know.
It didn't matter what it was. Like if somebody messed with your gear, whatever it was, you don't sell it. You don't until you know who it is,
And
then you can extract your.
And he taught me how to deal with that.
Yeah.
He was like, you don't do it in the locker room. He said, because it's never gonna get resolved. He was like, you gotta find people when they all by themselves and nobody else is around. And you walk up and you go, hey, I don't like what's going on. And if you do it again, I'm gonna find you like I did today, and ain't gonna be nobody here to break us up. And I'm gonna hurt you. A la John Bradfield, Layfield. They was on my ass. I caught him under the bleachers. And I said, John, the day is the last day. If I catch you like this again, they're gonna have to bury you. And he's like, what the f is wrong with you? And I said, I'm done with the jokes. Like, don't mess with me no more, because I'm gonna find you. And I'm gonna have my way with you. And he was like, you know Ron is the one that put me up to this shit. Everybody like you. They just like to see you mad. And I thought about what Owen said, and I was like, damn, they do like to see me mad. And then I went to Ron, and I said, John, Ron, why would you do that? And he's like, Mark, even you got to admit, it's funny as hell when you get mad. You can't even put a sentence together. You can't even put a sentence together. Because when I get mad, I lose my ability to communicate, and all I want to do is these.
There was a time, like, and I'd be at home, and my phone would ring, and it would be at night, and it would be Mark, and I was like, oh, like I knew I had to answer it because I knew he was about to kill somebody. I bet I got, if I've got one, I've got 15 calls through the year with him ready to kill somebody, and some.
The last one was Vamp.
And some, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Some were way up the totem pole, and I'm like, Mark, I understand, but you know what to, just take a deep breath, walk around, and he would be so mad. Then I could get him calmed down a little bit. He said, yeah, you're right. All right, okay. But dude, there's a lot of people that owe Owen and me their lives,
saved.
or at least being able to walk upright. I got concussed. My last memory of the day was at like 3:00 in the afternoon, and I never lost consciousness.
Yeah, those are the worst.
But I lost memory from, like, the last thing I remember of that day was having a discussion with my wife backstage. Whoa. She came back to see me, and then the next thing that I remember, I'm in the hospital, and they're asking me every 5 minutes, like, what's your name? When were you born? Yeah. Where are you? And I have no clue. It was crazy because I knew who she was. I didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
And I'm it got to the point where I'm like, they would leave and I would say, hey, babe, come here.
what's my name? Yeah. She's like, I can't cheat for you.
Yeah,
But I was clueless, and I said, I got to wrestle. I got to go wrestle. She goes, you already did. You know, it's all over. And crazy thing about that too. So we're several years into doing the impact testing and all the concussion protocols. So obviously that worried me, like, because I don't know how many concussions that I had before we had medical treatment.
Because you guys went hard in the paint.
Yeah,
for especially in the early days.
Yeah, in the early days, we didn't have trainers, we didn't have everything. I mean, we were just left to our own. If you walk, you go to the ring, kind of a deal. And it kind of shook me up a little bit, just because of how it all worked out. So, the head of our medical, his name is Dr. Joseph Maroon, which is one of the top. He's one of the guys that worked on the impact testing. Mm-hmm. So I fly up to Pittsburgh, and they give me the impact test again. And then another doctor comes in, and I'm thinking, oh, what do I got CTE? What's going on here? And then they gave me like a written version of it, and crazy enough, after suffering that concussion, my score
goes up.
It was better than my baseline score that I had done in 2001. Yeah. And and he goes, if it happens again, I'd probably suggest that maybe you quit. He goes, but I can't, there's nothing here that tells me that I can, tell you that you shouldn't be in the ring again. Yeah. And I was just like,
just think about what your baseline condition was for that to be your baseline.
Exactly.
You're messed up, man.
Yeah. And after that, once we started with concussion protocol and all that, then we couldn't hit each other with chairs in the head anymore and all that stuff. And everybody think, wrestling is this and wrestling is that, but chair shots were chair shots. Yeah. And
gravity's not fake.
Yeah, I took a lot of them. It was just like that old school mentality of like, if you're gonna swing a chair. Don't make it look like shit. And it was just like a kind of our badge of honor amongst what we did. And I couldn't tell you. There's no telling how many concussions that I had.
And those little ones are the worst.
Yeah,
like stacked multiple little like micro concussions over time. Yeah. That's where the football pads, the might have been the worst thing compared to like rugby players, lacrosse players. Those pads are getting micro concussions over these long periods of time, and lots of them. Right. Where they're not losing memory, they're not blacking out, they're not throwing up, but they're getting lots of them, and that damage over time with the brain, as we're finding out, is worse than like these big traumatic moments. Right. It's like they're both so dangerous. Yeah. The brain is something that is fragile and should be protected.
It should be protected. And it was like at first, like old school guys, we were just like, man.
But look what you created.
We're getting soft, and and you try to fight it. And I remember I still, even after they banned the chair shots, so I'm wrestling Triple H. And we're figuring like, well, I'm the most tenured guy here. You're his son-in-law. Surely we can get away with it. Nah. He fined our ass too. I remember getting my check for WrestleMania, and there was that big minus on there, and I was like, son of a. And I called him up right away. I said, did you get fined? And he was like, yeah, I got fined too. And I was like, what the hell good is it to be his son-in-law or his most tenured guy, and you still can't, but he had to set an example, right? And that's what he did.